So there's been a lot of talk about Mirage, Mirage being OP, Mirage being strong, and I kind of wanted to look at Mirage from the most neutral standpoint I can, as obviously I am biased. I play Mirage, right? Everyone's biased in this world. And I kind of want to look at his abilities and be like, well, what makes Mirage strong? Why is he such an oppressive laner? Why is he so good? Well, as people say, maybe he's actually dog shit in reality, but clearly I think there's something a bit strong about Mirage. I think everyone can agree that Mirage does have some kind of strength, and in this video, I'd like to analyze and kind of break down what's strong about Mirage, what can Valve do maybe to fix him, maybe some gameplay changes he needs, etc, etc. The first thing I want to do is look at his stats here, the vitality and the weapon. There's nothing unnatural about Mirage here. If we click through all the heroes, everything's pretty standard. Just looking briefly, he does, however, have one of the lowest DPSs in the game. However, one of the highest bullet damages, which is something that I've been talking about quite a bit in my videos. These high bullet damage characters scaling very well with weapon damage items, because it's like if your character does like more DPS, like 76 DPS than Mirage, but like your bullets per second are extremely high, you have to hit way more shots to actually get that full value from your weapon damage, compared to someone like Mirage where you only need to hit like 2 bullets a second or something like that, because your base bullet damage is so high. So there is nothing unnatural besides the high bullet damage. I did look at his scaling stats here. He does get 1 base bullet damage per level, and I think that is a bit high. I was kind of scrolling through some of the characters here. I think Lady Geist actually has better scaling on her weapon than Mirage. I think also Warden's was pretty good. Yeah, Warden's is pretty close. If we get the Geist here, I think Geist is like 1.6. Yeah, Geist is 1.6. So nothing unnatural or extreme about Mirage in the base stats, maybe besides his high base bullet damage. But even then, characters like Geist have 25 bullet damage. Characters like Kelvin have 21 bullet damage. I don't think there's anything unnatural, right? Great Talent, 25. I don't think there's anything unnatural about Mirage's base stats, and I think this is a pretty good place to start. I think Mirage's strengths kind of go into his abilities, which is the next part that we're going to get into right now. So something fundamental you need to understand about Mirage and why he's so strong is that understanding the laning phase happens in the early game. Duh, right? Yeah, the laning phase is at the beginning of the game. But this is a very important concept because, right, your base stats are lower at the beginning of the game. You're going to have the lowest HP at the beginning of the game. As you can see right here, I have 550 HP. When I get all my items in Mirage, let's just say I buy all these things, blah, blah, blah. My HP goes significantly up. I have 3 times more HP with all these items than I did at the beginning of the game with no, like, stats or anything, right? So that is an extreme consideration. And for Mirage, right, and looking at Mirage, it's extremely important because Mirage's ability, or his 2 rather, one of his abilities, steals max health from the opponent. It's a 90% max health steal. So for me, right, if Mirage used this on me right now, well, I'm playing Mirage. So if I had 550 HP and I got this ability used on me, I would lose almost 20% of my HP from a single ability, and it reduces bullet resist. Obviously, you can play around this ability, right? Because it is a temporary steal. You steal it, and it's temporary. It's not a permanent steal or anything. So this is important to consider. So I do think Mirage's Fire Scarabs is quite strong in the early game because you're stealing this max HP, and as you can see, I lose HP, which, effectively works way better in early game than late game, because like 90 HP off the rip, 20% of HP, 90 HP 30 minutes in, that's probably not even like a dent in this person's HP. And the same thing can be said about the Jin's Mark. So the Jin's Mark has a base damage of 16. Obviously early game, 16 is going to hurt extremely hard, especially if you get that multiplied up. Obviously later into the game, right, not in the early game, mid game, late game, this 16 damage is laughable, right? It's not going to do anything. So I can say, from at least looking at these 2 abilities, Mirage is extremely strong in the early game, there being the laning phase. However, it's important to consider that there are a lot of other good laners like Mirage. Mirage isn't unique in like what they do. Max health steal is pretty unique, but you have characters like Lady Geist that give you 15% damage amp, level 1, right? You have characters like Pocket with the Barrage. You have characters like Infernus that can tick. So while Mirage is strong, I do believe for there to be other strong laners as well. Mirage is nothing extremely special in Deadlock. Next video I'd like to look at for Mirage is his Tornado. Keep in mind, this isn't a stun. It's just a knock up and you keep him in place. Obviously, if you upgrade the ability and whatnot. It knocks him up for longer, but it's not a stun. It's like an immobilizing ability. It keeps him immobile, locks him in. And it's also bolt evasion. I believe bolt evasion to be extremely strong in Deadlock. It's a pretty exclusive stat. I think the only other character you get bolt evasion on is like Hayes' ult. Like, it's a pretty hard to come by stat. This is actually pretty unique in Mirage's kit to have that bolt evasion. And I think bolt evasion on an ability is a bit strong. So bolt evasion chance on his one is pretty, like, I don't know, I'd say a bit overtuned, especially because you can increase it to 20% more with 45% bullet evasion. That's insane. I think that's more than like what Hayes gets on her ultimate, 45%. So it's something important to consider. But the window is pretty short. It's only 3-second bullet evasion, so you might not even like avoid any bullets in that window, depending on how quick the enemy shoots. Next ability I want to look at is his ultimate. His ultimate, once again, I'm starting to see like a bit of a trend with this character, 2, 3, and 4. All these abilities are very, very early game strong. So like year 4, Traveler, it is strong late game, right? If you're split pushing a late game, but mainly I see the strength in Traveler just like shown in League of Legends. You know, you have those ultimates, you can go win other lanes, you can roam very early and very far into the game with this ultimate. It definitely does lose its value late game because it provides no team fighting really power. It does allow you to split push and pull enemies, you know, on one side of the map to the, and then, you know, let's say you like split pushing far left side, your team fights right side, someone comes left side to match you, you TP, 6v5, easy, GG. So like, yeah, the ult is strong in that sense, but it doesn't provide any kind of team fighting value. Like, let's say you're all grouping up on mid boss, 6v6 to bait it. This doesn't do anything for that. So Traveler really does lose its value early game, or late game, sorry. Maybe you can ult on like an ally and get like the 4-second move speed and fire rate duration. I don't know. I would like to bring up one more thing in regards to Mirage's abilities before I start moving on to the items. His 3 is very unique in the sense that your 3 does the same damage whether or not you applied it from an extremely far distance or when you applied it extremely really close. So you can use this ability and abuse the range on it, which I think is pretty strong in itself. But like I said, I think this damage falls off late game pretty hard. I think that the Jin's mark is more impactful early game than it is late game. Obviously, you can spec into the Jin's mark and get stuff like reverb, get spirit, etc., etc. And in that sense, it does become a bit stronger late game, but you have to spec into it. I see most Mirages nowadays. Spirit was a bit in meta. I do see most Mirages building around gun. Maybe Spirit is in meta, and I just don't see it because I play Mirage in all my games, or a lot of my games. So correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but what I definitely do see is gun build Mirage, which is what I'm going to get into next year. So Mirage's gun build, it's pretty interesting. It's not anything unique. It's not anything we've never seen before. It's just headshot booster, headhunter, and crippling headshot. Obviously, there's a lot of other things here, right? But the main part, in my opinion, what makes his build strong is the headshot booster, headhunter, and crippling headshot. Obviously, you have things like quicksilver reload, right? If you want to do something like surge of power on a 3, right? These are pretty strong interactions, right? Always having quicksilver reload, always having surge of power, sure, right? These are quite strong. But the thing that makes Gun Mirage so strong, in my opinion, is this crippling headshot, headhunter, all this stuff. And this is not unique. We've seen this in Listic's, I think it's the Lady Geist build. I don't know if his build specifically, but I did see him in the tournament run, you know, the crippling headshot, the headhunter, unless I have dementia, and he never did do that, and it was just like all a dream. Maybe I'm crazy, right? But I do see this being run on Lady Geist. So this is not anything unique or, you know, special. And the thing that Lady Geist and Mirage both have in common is they have this high bullet damage, right? So I think this meta where you have crippling headshot, headhunter, headshot booster all exists in with characters that have high bullet damage. And I mean, my build, it's nothing like crazy besides this. I just build toxic bullets, ricochet, inhibitor, leech. I kind of play like Infernus a little bit, which is a bit interesting. Maybe this build's troll, but I've gone crazy with it in the past few days, like 16 kills, etc., etc. So yeah, I don't see anything crazy going on with the Mirage items. Maybe Quicksilver Reload and Surge of Power on Mirage's 3 needs to be looked at. This is a pretty interesting interaction. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think about Mirage. I think we did a pretty in-depth analysis on him here today. I would say he is probably a bit strong early game, but late game he definitely does fall off. So, if you can survive the storm of Mirage in the early game, you will probably do just fine in the late game against him, as long as you don't feed him or anything. And I think in Deadlock, there has been an extreme meta fight, right? I've seen this in many tournaments. I've watched the games, all this, where early prio laners that win their early game usually end up winning the game. So this is not something just with Mirage, like, oh, Mirage is so strong early game, he's going to win the game now. This is like with every strong early game champion. Any strong early game champion, usually if they do well in lane, they just win the game, right? That's what I see. So let me know what you guys think. Much love. Hope you guys enjoy these videos. Please feel free to like, comment, sub if you enjoyed what you saw today. And I'll see you guys in the next one.